Hi, welcome to a training on how to design and code a Dell EMC validated system for virtualization using a tool called System Builder. As you might have seen in the training for validated system for virtualization, customers have a lot of choice in picking the right platform, the right storage technology, and let them really design a converged system that maps to their specific requirements. System Builder makes it easy for you as salespeople and channel partners to capture all customer requirements across their workloads, platform choices, type of deployment they would prefer before we recommend a system that is tested and validated by engineering, backed by standardized service offerings from Dell EMC services. Unlike a configurator, System Builder is grounded with best practices, testing and validation done by Dell EMC engineering teams. This should give the users, the sales teams, and the channel partners to design a system that maps a customer requirements with absolute confidence. Today, without Dell EMC validated system of virtualization, it takes weeks to design the right solution as you need to engage multiple specialists, compare various compatibility metrics, and still have to assume certain risk with selling converged systems. Let us see how these can be addressed through the training. The first thing I would do is to select the right system builder based on my country. So in this example, let me select United States, and then I'm going to launch the system builder. So after I launch system builder, as you can see, I need to answer a set of simple questions through the interview process that I would have with my customer before I can get to a fully validated and fully configured Dell EMC validated system for virtualization. So I'll start with the first set of questions, and they're really focused on the type of virtualization platform that is enabled as part of the solution. In the 1.0, the support is for VMware, and support for Microsoft is coming the next set of releases. The second question that I need to select a response for is the type of deployment model that the customer would like to prefer. Now, one of the goals of flexibility with the Dell EMC validated system for virtualization, it really offers three deployment models. Either customers can do it themselves with validated bill of materials with guidance from Dell EMC, or they can come and get system level deployment experience from Dell EMC. They can get the system level deployment experience along with full lifecycle automation provided by Dell EMC's Active System Manager. So at any given point of time, I can always click why do we ask this question to understand, what each option entails, and then basically make a selection based on what is appropriate as I have that conversation with the customer. So in this example, let's suppose I want the system level deployment experience along with the automation provided by Active System Manager. So let me select that and move on to the next step. Now we can also select the storage technology. So you have support for both fiber channel, iSCSI from a traditional storage standpoint. Also you have support for software defined storage using VMware Virtual SAN. As you can also see, at any given point of time in the step, I also have relevant documentation that gets surfaced. So if I have questions around understanding, SC-series tiered architecture, or how Virtual SAN actually performs, I can always go back and look at the relevant documentation. So I'm going to select the iSCSI, leave that as default. You also have choice in terms of server form factors. So again, instead of asking, do you want rack server or a blade server or an FX2, you're actually asking, and I'm trying to understand what is the outcome the customer actually looks for when they select a server platform. In this example, I'm going to select a low density and discrete server because the customer wanted to grow one server at a time, or they're very comfortable with rack servers. And then once I've selected the storage platform, the server platform, now I can actually provide my infrastructure requirements, right? So, and there are three different ways in which I can provide inputs into System Builder. The first one I can do is to select a VM profile and basically say, hey, I want 200 VMs of this size or 100 VMs of this size. Or you can actually go back and basically provide aggregated resources. So here is the amount of CPU I require, here is the amount of IOPS I require, here's the amount of capacity I require. And the third approach you can actually do is click on this sizing customer VMs that takes you to an Excel-based calculator where you can actually take all the customized VMs from your customers and basically capture those requirements into the aggregate resources tab that you can see here. Now in this example, let me select VMs to keep it very simple. So I'm going to select number of VMs, and I'm going to select I need 100 VM based system, so I'm going to select that. Also, when it comes to selecting the processor, the storage drives, CPU, the memory, if you will, on the servers, it's also trying to understand what are the customer expectations and outcomes they're looking for when it comes to these components, right? So instead of asking what what specific proc you need, we're trying to find out, hey, what are you trying to optimize this for? Is it optimized for best performance and density? Are you looking for a balanced price performance? And same with storage subsystems. And also you have a choice of whether you want to do all flash or hybrid. So let me just leave it as hybrid. Let me leave them as defaults. One of the other things that you might have seen is every field is defaulted to an option. So if you are not sure about what option to pick, you can always leave it to default and let the system actually make the choice for you. Also, I can I've selected what I need. I have this option to further customize it. So I said I want rack servers. Now you have a choice to do whether you want to do 630 or 730. I also have the option to change it to an Intel NIC from a QLogic. Also have the option to add separate management infrastructure to manage this system that I'm buying. So again, at any given point of time, if I don't want to change anything, I can leave them as default. So in this case, I'm going to deselect the requirement to have separate management infrastructure. And the final screen is about selecting add-ons to the system. So whether you want licenses as part of it, OEM licenses that allows Dell EMC to provide the best possible experience both across software and hardware. Do you want to have additional add-on software, whether it's Dell Foglight or Virtualization operations? Bear in mind that a lot of guidance and is provided in terms of how Foglight and Virtualization operations is deployed and configured, and all of that testing and validation is done by Dell EMC engineering teams as part of the validated system for virtualization. Also, I can add, data protection, or I could say, you know what, I already have a data protection solution in my environment. I have licenses, I have an ELA with VMware, and also I have an existing monitoring solution that I would like to use. So I can select no to all of those options. So once I've selected what optional components that I need, this last step is confirming all those choices that I made. And that's all I have to do from an effort perspective, right? So I've captured the input requirements. Now System Builder, after I hit the get recommendation, is going to process, look at all the multiple possible combinations, apply those input variables that you've provided before it comes back with what the right recommendation is. So it has come back, processing that, and it's come back with a specific recommendation. Now, the first thing you would see is it comes back with a solution ID. It also comes back with a nice little architectural diagram that talks about the full-fledged stack, if you will, in the customer environment, the software, the hardware that is part of it, what platforms that we pick, and so on and so forth. It also tells me why I picked those platforms. If you go to this tab, it'll tell you why it has chosen what particular platforms it has chosen. It also gives me a detailed documentation around a configuration guide and I want to add a design guide that talks about the design of the system, a deployment guide, and since I've selected the option to have automation as part of the system, it also gives me an ASM template that is relevant to the system that just got designed. So from a customer standpoint, what they're getting is a fully functioning, validated bill of materials. They're getting standardized service offerings to deploy and configure the system, and then basically lifecycle automation through ASM to configure that system based on best practices to scale that system, as well as update and keep that in a balanced state. Now let's go back to the solution ID that we've just generated, right? So I'm going to select the solution ID. I'm going to go back to Dell Star. And Dell Star is going to open the bill of materials that just got designed by the system builder. So as you can see here, by answering a set of very simple questions, I was able to design a system that fits the customer requirements. And actually now I can go back to a backend system, use a solution ID, and basically generate a code, a full-fledged code for the customer in a matter of few minutes. Now, it not only allows me to look at the bill of materials in the backend system, it also lets me download the PDF document that really captures all the nitty-gritties of the bill of materials that are part of the system, so that in a country where the system builder is not is not integrated into the backend system, it lets you take that PDF document and build a code manually within G or whatever downstream system that you actually use in your region. Now, let's suppose a customer wants to change that, wants a vSAN configuration. We've designed an iSCSI. They come back and said, hey, I want to do a vSAN configuration. Now, without System Builder, you have to go now work with a vSAN specialist, look at all the vSAN ready nodes that we have, try to figure out what's the right configuration that really meets the customer requirement. Now, with System Builder, that complexity is gone away. So now what you do is you start over and you come back to the same process where it goes back and takes you to the questions that you have, and you start answering those questions. So I'm going to say it's VMware. I still need a system level deployment along with automation, but this time I'm going to select software defined storage instead of iSCSI. I'm going to select that. I'm also going to select the type of server platform. I'm going to provide the same inputs on the number of VMs that I need to support. It's the same 100 VMs that was selected before. Uh, this time I'm going to select no to the management infrastructure. I'm going to select no to the licenses, no to the add-ons that I see here. So as you can see here, the process of designing is very, very simple, whether it's vSAN or iSCSI or what have you. It just pops up the relevant questions based on the choices that you've selected. Now again, unlike a configurator, a system builder works like a decision tree. So every choice that you're making a previous step defines what choices would be available in the next step. So I'm going to select a vSAN configuration. I'm going to get recommendation. And now this time it's trying to apply vSAN based best practices based on the algorithms and logic developed by our engineering team. Looking at sizing rules that are relevant from a vSAN configuration before it actually goes and comes back with a recommendation that is vSAN based. So this time it has come back and provided me a recommendation that is based on vSAN. Again, I have the same list of collateral, the same amount of summary, a nice little diagram, if you will. Again, this time I'm going to go back to Dell Star and I'm going to open the solution ID that just got generated using the vSAN configuration. Like you can see here, it's come back with a code this time that you can actually provide that's based on vSAN based configuration. You can put in your discounts and what have you, and basically generate very quickly a code for the customer. As you can really quickly see, it has changed from being a vSAN configuration to an iSCSI configuration, and you can move back and forth very simply using System Builder. Now, before we wrap, let's look at a few things that we need to watch out as you're designing the solution. The first thing is, suppose you get an error, right? It could be any different error that you have. The first thing you got to do is copy the URL that you see on the top in the recommendations page, and basically send an email to system_builder@dell.com. Now, what this would help is provide us a context in terms of what was the configuration that you selected, what choices you made rather, and really allows us to further troubleshoot and do a better job at it. Now, every time you want to change few things, right? So the first thing that you want to do is hit the start over. So then, like you've seen in this training, right? Every time you hit the start over, it takes you back to the original step and lets you to change those options as you want. The one thing that you don't want to do is hit this breadcrumbs, if you will, on the top. If you're moving from getting a recommendation and then trying to change the recommendation, making a different set of choices. Now, the other thing that I think you should be very careful about is always save the solution. So suppose your customer comes back and wants a different processor than the one that was suggested, or wants a different set of drives for the SC120. Always make sure you save it as a solution rather than saving it as new solution, or even or if you want to save it as a new version, you can always save it as a new version. But the one thing that you don't want to do is save it as a new solution, because that changes the solution ID and makes it really very manual for us to track, for us also to do revenue recognition. As long as the solution ID remains the same as the one that just got generated by System Builder, it really makes the tracking extremely automatic in nature. Now, finally, there are two types of support models that we have for System Builder. So in the top 12 countries, US, Canada, Australia, Japan, China, India, Brazil, Mexico, and the three European countries of UK, France, and Germany, you basically have the automatic integration, if you will, through System Builder along with OSC or Dell Star, whatever system that is actually being used in that region. Now, if you're outside those top 12 countries, though, what you could do is go to the solution summary, as we would see in a minute here. Now, if you're outside those top 12 countries, what you could do is download the PDF document, as you can see the download PDF document. And now once you open the PDF document, you would see that it gives you a very, very detailed list of all the SKUs that were added from compute, storage, networking, active system manager, the support that is required. It adds everything, if you will, to the bill of materials and ensures that you can take this PDF document, go to G, and basically configure that system manually. Now, one of the other things that you need to remember is in that scenario, the services queues will not be available outside the top 12 countries. When I say services queues, it's the standardized service offerings that we have newly created for the Dell EMC validator system, things like the software integrations queue, things like the ASM deployments queue, those are actually not available. And all you would have is component levels deployment as well as support, whether it's Pro Deploy or Pro Deploy Plus. So before we finish the training session, there are a lot of resources that are available for you as part of the Dell EMC Validated Systems for Virtualization. You can also see you can also find the System Builder landing page where you start designing systems for your customers. And finally, whenever you have any questions, please reach out to your local contacts, or also you can reach out to us at system_builder@dell.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate it.